Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsockеtradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
All right, it is Coffee Ann here on ON, AM and FM radio. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Joe Callahan. It's Thursday morning, September the 18th, and that's Bob Lotter right over there. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
We don't have you on. Say that again.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
There you are. Nice to have you with us. And Sue Chassie McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Calling Times is here.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you, Sue?
With
Good.
nice ruby-colored
Good.
beads that match the flowers on the dress.
Well, you know, we
Yeah.
talked about, the spring, fall changing over. Guys saying they go from short sleeve to long sleeve. No, it doesn't really work that way.
Bob
You
put a
know,
sweater on.
You're
so
right.
there you go.
I mean, it's going to be a little warm for a sweater.
It is.
But it's
But,
just not, like, I wouldn't wear a floral dress with, like, bright pink and
Yeah.
blues and royal blues and all that. That's the only difference. It's just, at this time of year, in September, it's more the color, not so much the...
Now, I imagine you and I choose our
Material.
neckties according to the weather, the seasons as well.
But
You
he
don't.
doesn't wear neckties.
I choose neckties depending on what wedding or funeral I'm
I was
going
just
to.
going to say, my thoughts exactly.
The neckties have, and I'm kind of happy about this. They've kind of gone by the wayside. This is great. So yeah, I didn't.
A
But when
lot
I
of
did,
stuff
but,
like that, those
But when I
gone
did wear
away.
neckties, no, I didn't choose them by the season. It was like, does it go with the shirt?
But can't you
Yes, it
see
does.
Bob
Okay, fine.
getting ready for court, going to court, I should say.
Well,
you
that
know
would
he's
be
got a
different,
navy
yeah.
blue suit on,
Yeah.
and it's November with a pink tie. It just
It
doesn't,
just doesn't work,
So
yeah.
you have. So he's doing the right thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right. All right.
Sue takes in a lot more, of
Thinking,
the
all
outside.
right.
Thinking is the right way to do it.
All right.
You and I are over here in the corner with the conical hats on.
You know, I always heard this story. I believe it's true. Albert Einstein
Yeah.
Yeah.
had a closet full of suits. They were all black, white shirt, black shoes. He didn't want to waste thinking, because his brain was so smart, on what to wear.
Yeah.
He wore the same thing every single day and just pulled out a different suit. Gave the old suit to somebody else. Go clean this. Put it back in the rack, and we're just gonna. He had like 20.
Recycle his suits.
I'm just gonna wear the same suit all the time. That
Well,
way I don't
when
have to
I-
think about what I'm wearing.
When I had the limo business, granted, I had different blouses, but it was all black and white suits. I
Oh,
mean,
all right, there you go.
wore, and you had to, but you still had to think. It's like, okay, you do not wear a black skirt when you're doing a wedding because you worked too much. You know what I mean? In other words, you're helping with this and helping with that. Same with luggage, because the way I put my luggage in the car, using my knee, there's no way I could have worn a skirt that would have been inappropriate because I had to use my knee to hoist it up. So I still had to think. I
Okay.
still had to think.
All
I'm going
right.
to ask Sue a question about her limo service.
All right.
Years and years ago, my wife and I and the family took a limo to Logan Airport.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was with your service. This goes back like 15, 20 years.
Okay.
Big, long stretch limo. In the back seat of the limo, they have a little bar. In the bar, they have these little plastic sticks that go into the liquor. Now, the limo that we had must have been for a wedding because they had little bride and groom stickers on, just things. When you're doing a funeral, do you have plastic stickers with skeletons and
Okay,
coffins?
so A,
Yeah.
that was probably my car.
It was, okay.
Because I used to set up, and wasn't just about bride and groom's weddings.
Right.
I used to set it up. There was a napkin with the classic limousine, and there was, believe it or not, back then you had matches in the car.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Package of matches and the stirrer, so it just looked nice.
Yes.
If we never did a funeral,
Oh, okay.
so I never had to, but I would have removed everything. When we did proms, for example, we didn't put the matches or the
Okay.
stirrers. We
Or
would
the-
just put the napkin.
Or the liquor.
Yeah, you had. Well, liquor didn't stay in
Oh, okay.
except for, certain
Right.
customers.
But so
that type
you
of
didn't
thing.
have the little sticks with the skull and crossbones
No,
or the
no.
the-
But
the
then again, you
coffins?
could use those on some weddings. So
That's true too.
know. Universal.
All right. Well, taking a look at some of the things going on in the news. It's happened again, and this is not a good thing. Providence police said a Warwick man has turned himself in on Wednesday after the workman was being accused of assault. This is what he's accused of doing. According to police, they had an active arrest warrant on Christopher Cherry for an alleged assault that occurred following a basketball game in Providence last Saturday. It's one of these things where the parent is going after at a youth game. Police said Cherry punched one of the organizers of the tournament, Isaiah Fuller, in the face. Fuller said he and his team then left the gym before Cherry apparently pulled out a knife and swung it at a referee.
Okay.
Fuller goes on to say, from the moment we sensed the environment becoming unsafe, I made the decision to remove our players immediately, as their safety and well-being remain my top priority whenever we travel from city to city. It's unfortunate that a day filled with talent, resilience, and positivity was hindered by an ill-advised incident. What matters most is that everyone left the facility safely, which they did. The basketball event was held inside the John Hope Settlement House. It was part of Isaiah Fuller's Taft for the People tour. I'm not sure where he's from. He said the tour aims to connect with young people in various cities, spreading a message of joy and positivity along the way. Very ironic, I guess.
Right? That's awful.
Now, Cherry is facing charges of felony assault, 2 counts of simple assault, and disorderly conduct. He appeared in court Wednesday afternoon. A judge set his bond at $2,500, and he was ordered to avoid contacting a number of victims. He's due back in court in December. My kids went through youth sports. Your kids go through youth sports?
A son.
And
You didn't ask me.
I already know. I already know the answer, Bob. When they go through youth sports, at some point along the way, as the parent, you think your child's getting screwed somehow.
Okay.
But you don't punch out the referee. You certainly don't take out a weapon. You don't go after the coach of the other teams. I mean, you stew in silence. and the objective is not to embarrass your child.
But
that should be the objective.
That falls just like everything else where things are escalated nowadays.
Oh, I know.
And it goes with the simplest of things right up to, I mean, that's not a simple thing, but the simple thing like, excuse me, you parked too close to my car, and now I can't get in it.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're throwing punches.
I know.
It's like, dude, you're over the white line, now I can't get in my car. But you see these things going on, so it's just the escalation of everything. People just have zero...
Mm-hmm.
Well,
a
I
lot of
imagine
things. I
part
don't
of
even
it
want to
may be
begin.
A parent's feeling that their child has been in some way maltreated, and they want to
Possibly.
protect the child, and they want to bring have that kind of maltreatment cease, and so they become very emotional about it. And
But you can't.
I know
can't.
you
No, you
can't.
have to. Right, you are an adult, and you know what? You have an issue, then you take it up after.
Yeah.
They used to say, walk away, count to 10, do that kind of stuff. Think before you act. People don't do that anymore, and that's part of the problem.
And my son played hockey growing up, and I saw many a times him out on the ice getting punched, getting tripped. Was a penalty called? No. And as the parent, you're infuriated that this is happening to your child, and there's no repercussions. Do you not see the player on the ice? How do you think he got there? He popped right back up and keep going. Once you realize the penalty's not being called, but it's still it's maddening.
Yeah.
But you don't. I never jumped down on the ice. I never went after the coach of the other team. Didn't go after the referees at all. Game's over. Okay, the game's over. He'd ask me afterwards, "Did you see me get tripped?" Sure did.
Right.
And they didn't call anything. No, they didn't. Isn't that terrible? It sure is.
you don't have these kind of problems when your daughter is really involved in art.
No, that's true. You're
No.
right. Unless there's no plagiarism questions going on. Hey,
But-
I drew that first.
But our daughter was in dance, and while that level of issues never occurred, you'd have some moms being like, "Well, why is she dancing more than my daughter? Why is?" So it was minimal,
Yeah.
but they took it up with
The teacher, the dance teacher,
and
yeah.
said, "How come?"
Talent.
That's the first thing I would think
Yeah.
of is talent.
Someone's a little better than
Right.
you're a little princess.
But you would hear that kind of
Yeah.
those kind of
Those
conversations
conversations.
taking place.
All right, so I wrote down some things that we go over the law things, and I know Bob's not a criminal.
I'm going to go back to law school.
Is not a criminal lawyer, because we have the man that allegedly shot Charlie Kirk out in Utah, and he was arraigned the other day, and he was charged with aggravated murder. I'm like, what's aggravated murder? How is that different than just being charged with murder 1, 2, 3, or manslaughter? And so I looked it up, Bob.
Great.
Aggravated murder is a criminal charge involving murder committed with specific aggravating factors that make it more severe than standard murder. All right? These factors vary by jurisdiction, but typically include 1, premeditation or intent to kill. And that looks like what he has done in this case. Killed during the commission of another serious crime going on, like a robbery, a rape, or a kidnapping. That's not the case going on right here. Murder of law enforcement officer, public official, or a child.
Okay.
That didn't happen here. Particularly heinous or cruel methods such as torture. Well, this wasn't torture, but it was kind of cruel. It was heinous, yeah. Or multiple victims, or a pattern of killings. So that doesn't count in this either. So we're just going to go with the. It was real premeditation. According to what I heard yesterday, he's been planned it for a week. He goes, I have the ability to take him out, and I know what I'm going to do. That's what I heard yesterday. So that's where we are.
He's taking over your job.
So I looked up
know,
that one.
right?
Research.
Well, I wanted to look up that one.
I can still
No, it was
still be
funny.
the dummy, but you're my go-to for
Right,
the
but
good
you
answers.
know what was funny is when he started to speak of it.
Yeah.
You didn't see me go for my phone because I said to myself,
Yeah.
I hope the heck you looked it up.
Plus,
So I didn't even go for
I was
my
reading it off my
You're
phone.
my go-to. You're my
I
supply.
want to do you go to. We're on this side of the table, Bob.
Jeez.
All right, the other one I wanted to know about Bob about, and maybe Sue, you heard about this, about the guy that was arrested at the Target store in Lincoln
Yes.
Mall, and he's videoing women. Now, the good part, he's not videoing them in the dressing rooms, and he's not video them in the bathroom. They're shopping, they're in the aisles, but he's still got his phone out and he's still videoing them, and he was arrested for video voyeurism. And we talked about it a little on yesterday, and John Ward brought it up, saying, well, because you are inside a private business, you're not allowed as a citizen to video inside the private business. And I asked Bob to take a look that up a little bit. Is that what the true? Is that what
when I look at
the
the
law
statute,
is in Rhode Island?
When I look at the statute for video voyeurism, which is section 1162-2, it says a person is guilty of video voyeurism when, for the purpose of sexual arousal, gratification, or stimulation, such person uses, installs, or permits the use of an imaging capturing device to record. And it goes on to talk about intimate areas of another person without that person's knowledge, consent, under circumstances where the other person would have reasonable expectation of privacy. And then it goes on to talk about such things as a peeping Tom through windows.
Okay, that's not the case
Then-
here.
Right.
But it doesn't seem to say anything specifically that says it cannot be done within a private business.
That doesn't
Now,
sound like
Interesting.
video voyeurism to me. I mean,
The
don't
problem
get
is
me wrong.
we haven't seen. Well, okay, if you're shopping for shampoo,
Yeah.
well, what is he videoing? Is he videoing your face? Is he videoing the back of you?
Right. I think
What's
that
it-
would make a difference.
You need to
to
see- we
what
need to see it.
Yeah, you'd have to know. But I will tell you, if I'm in a store, let's just go with this first assumption that he was just videotaping women. Mm-hmm. Now
That was in the story, so yeah.
that would be up to the women to complain to management. It's up to management, as Ward pointed out,
Yep.
that it is private property and no, you're not supposed to do that. But I don't. That doesn't fall under the video voyeurism, unless, of course, he were, like you just mentioned, taking the backside, or he wasn't close enough. Like the ones that have been common are over the fitting room or under
or
the
under
skirt.
all the people that put the phones on their shoes
Yeah, that's what
so
I'm
they
saying.
can video, they can shoot upwards.
So I will tell you, I wouldn't have needed to call management. He would have.
They would have called the police on you.
It would have been like, officer, really?
Yeah.
Really,
yeah.
what am I supposed to do
Well,
here?
that's what he was charged with, according to the story we had yesterday. I'm like,
Yeah,
does it
it's not
really
fitting to
fit
me.
under what video voyeurism is? And
I'd have to see exactly what the charges were as
Yeah.
opposed to what the newspaper reported the charges to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so more coming your way here on the Coffee and program. We ask you to please stick around and you call in comments, questions at 766-1240. More of Coffee and is coming up. Stay tuned.
ON Radio. Celebrating Chan's 120th anniversary with happy hour food, great drinks, 48 years of live Chan's music, happy hour food 3 to 6 p.m. 7 days a week, dine in only, and you can treat yourself to your favorite beverages at Chan's, of course. Talking about entertainment, tomorrow night, September 19th, Friday, it's the Schemers. Saturday night, local favorite and local boy, Greg Abate's Super Sextet returns to Chan stage Saturday, September 20th, and next Friday, Sam and Dave will be with us. And also then on Saturday, Selwyn Birchwood. Coming up, great entertainment at Chan's.
Here's the tale of the daily Medfield. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings Wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang, that one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insurance.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Except Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
The Coffee and panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
We're here for you on the Talk of the Valley, ON Radio.
Thanks for joining us on the Coffee and program. Joe Callahan here with Bob Lauder, Sue Tester McKenzie, and Sue, I forgot to warn you. This segment of Coffee and is brought to you by the Blackstone Valley Call-in Time. So say something nice about the newspaper.
You say warn me like I need the warning. I just don't.
You do
plan
this
ahead.
so well.
I am such a planner, and I'm make notes. What's going on? What do I have to do today? And I have to. But when it comes to the commercials, it's just like okay.
Yeah, but you do it so well. You can wing anything.
I just wing it. Good morning, everybody. One thing that I did want to point out is most of you are aware we have the voting going on for the community choice. I highly encourage you to vote, vote, vote. We're a little down on our votes right about now. Part of that is because it is online, but if you go to www.woonsakicall.com, you can sign in to vote for your favorite business, whether it's a restaurant or a hair salon, whatever the case may be. So I encourage you to do that. Also, there is still time if you'd like to run ads for Vote For Me. The pricing is ridiculous. I mean, just to give an example, 4 ads for $200, that it's a large ad, not a business card. I highly encourage it, even if you just wanted to promote something coming up in the fall. So if you're interested in that, just call my cell at 401-487-4136.
All right, Sue, thanks. All right, one more law thing to get to, and it's happened because the town of Barrington has suspended one of their school teachers. He's on paid leave, I think, at the moment, and it's a free speech issue, Bob, and it all constitutes what is free speech, and he's been accused of going on TikTok, making a little video, and going against. He was actually happy that celebrating that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and so as you've been hearing around the country, thousands of people have been fired for doing
just that.
This exact same thing. So when it comes down to free speech, I guess you really got to read the Constitution.
Well, the free speech, you can say whatever you want to. There are consequences.
But there are
of doing it.
consequences. That's right.
The classic illustration is, yes, you can yell fire in a theater, but the
not-
resulting stampede of people trying to exit and there is no fire, you can be held responsible for
right.
the results of your actions. In the Charlie Kirk situation, I think that a lot of the people who have made the statements have been employed by or associated with an organization which does not want to have that statement reflect the association's overall
That's
position
right.
on this
Yeah.
issue, and therefore they're being fired. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that people have the right to make statements whether or not they approve of a situation, and I don't know how much it actually reflects upon in this case, the Barrington school system. I don't know if the individual said, as a Barrington school teacher, I am making this statement, or if the person is
No.
merely saying, me as an individual are making this statement, and
More as him as an individual, because I saw the statement. That's all
okay.
he said.
Unless the statement can be directly connected with the organization that's firing him, I would think that that's kind of extending beyond.
My turn.
You all
Yes,
done?
yes,
Sorry,
definitely.
Does
sorry.
Bob, do you rest
I'm-
your case?
You better.
Well, wait. She's,
All right.
she's already.
Maybe you'll
Rest
get-
your
maybe
case
you'll
and
get
let's see if you
rebuttal.
agree with my point.
All right,
so
go ahead,
first of
Sue.
all, free speech is one thing, hate speech is another. So that's two different things. And hate speech and free speech, Constitution, whatever, it's neither here nor there. But the reality is, when you, as an individual, have a position, I don't care what it is, you need to sometimes think that your actions or words or whatever can in fact affect your workplace. If I was, you all know I was a limo driver.
Mm-hmm.
If I worked for somebody as a chauffeur, and on, Saturday night I wasn't working, I went out, had a couple drinks, I get arrested for drunk driving, no accidents, no nothing, not overly intoxicated, nothing happened. Do they have the right to fire me because I was, or don't they have the right to fire me because my job was driving? Okay, so now my job was driving, I was just arrested for drunk driving. Why would they want the liability of having me on their payroll? I think is
That involves a particular action on your part that isn't speech.
But it was on my own time.
I don't agree with there's a difference between free speech and hate speech. Hate speech can be part of free speech. I can say, I hate a
hate you.
particular thing.
Okay.
And I should not necessarily be punished for that. I hate the fact that William Howard Taft was not reelected in 1912. Okay. That's not something that is not protected. I can say that. And there may be people who would disagree with me.
Yeah, but using the word hate doesn't make it hate speech. Using the word hate alone doesn't make it hate speech. I'm talking about some of the things that has, circulated throughout, all of social media is hate.
I know it is.
And if I'm a parent with kids in school and they're going to I don't care if you're in Barrington or Worcester, it doesn't matter where you are. Actions need to be taken. And I think that you need to get that ahead of time. You are representing how many students? How many students are you representing? And you're walking in with that thought process. And
But-
I just, that's hate. That is hate speech, not just saying you hate something.
Unless the individual was somehow influencing the children that he was teaching through his actions, then
Being
I don't
on
think
social media is influencing of in itself.
Or trying to be.
Right. I'm not saying they were an influencer, because there is a difference, Bob, in case you didn't know that. There is a difference. There are people that are influencers, so they want to sell this dress, so they'll go on TikTok and Instagram and so on. They're influencers trying to get other people to buy this dress. So those people didn't mean just because they were influencing anytime you're on social media, you're trying to influence somebody.
Probably.
Regardless.
I imagine that's true with most of our
Regardless.
interaction in life anyway.
And that's part of the problem is if they would have said that in their, in the kitchen, cafeteria at school to other teachers, that's a different story. But you are trying to influence others with your opinion.
I still think you have the right to free speech.
No.
Well, you do, but there are, like
Well,
you said,
you
there are
do, but there are
consequences.
consequences, like you
And,
like you yourself said, there are consequences, and
Because I've read this past week, I brought it up yesterday. I've seen American Airlines and Delta Airlines have fired some employees
absolutely.
for celebrating the assassination. Okay,
Right.
you're done. We can't have
And-
you around anymore. And now down in Barrington, by the way, I don't know what he's telling kids in the classroom. He didn't represent himself as a teacher on this TikTok
Right.
video, but people knew who he was. And now students are coming forward saying, "I don't want to be taught by this guy anymore."
Right.
And so I don't know what he was saying in the classroom, and maybe he was saying the wrong thing. And I brought this up to Dave yesterday. I said, and I'll bring it up to you guys. Now you got to think back to when you were in high school and things like that. Can you remember your teachers telling you where they stood politically? Ever? Because I can remember when I was in high school. Think about it for a minute. When I was in high school, President Reagan was shot. He was the attempt, and so we talked about it during history or social studies class. And the teacher never said anything about where
They stood.
he stood on whether he thought the assassination attempt was a good thing or a bad thing. You never knew where the teacher stood because they weren't supposed to tell you where they stood. They let the students
They're supposed to be
talk
teaching
back and
you,
forth.
not
Right, not influencing
influencing
you.
you.
Where that's a good thing because I don't like Ronald Reagan. That never came forward.
right.
But now it's different, for whatever reason.
Well, I don't know what they're doing in schools now. I do
Yeah.
recall, much older than you, obviously, back in 1960 when Senator Kennedy was running against Vice President Nixon for president, and Senator Kennedy was a Catholic, and he would have been the first Catholic that would have ever been elected, and there was a lot of behind-the-scenes criticism as to whether or not the Pope was going to have some
That's
influence
right.
and things like that.
I do remember
so
hearing
there was
about that.
there was a lot of public discussion about that issue, but I remember they had the polling station for Woonsocket, that particular district of Woonsocket was right in the entrance to the auditorium of the high school, and I remember our history teacher taking us down there so we could see the voting machines and see how people
How it was
voted,
done? Okay.
but never ever mentioned anything about that particular
Who to vote for?
conflict and issue that people were having between the two candidates at the time.
Well, that's-
so no, they didn't.
Okay.
My recollection is they didn't ever express a position
Opinion.
one way or another.
Okay.
No.
Sue, can you remember your teachers
No, I
ever
can't.
expressing an opinion?
No, I cannot. History class was one thing, things that occurred way back in the day,
Okay.
type of thing, but
Yeah, you can talk about Lincoln's
current,
assassination.
right? But sometimes current history,
Yeah.
current was brought into back history or vice versa, whichever I'm saying it wrong. But no, absolutely not.
Okay. It seems like things have changed in schools now, and it's just mostly in the social studies, history, not really English and science and math and like that. But it seems like the teachers tell the students, "This is my opinion on the president." Let's say, and you should learn from me because I'm smarter than you.
But now
I don't know.
and now you have students that are in the classes, and again, I'm not just pertaining to this exact situation,
Mm-hmm.
but now you have students there going, "Oh, now what do I do?"
That's right.
Because you have your own belief, and what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
So that opens up a whole new set of anxiety levels and just a whole lot of
Let's go to the airline situation, though. Suppose air hostess 1 says something terrible.
Did he just say air hostess?
Some of
Is
them
that
are-
what they're called now?
Well, they're not called stewardesses
Stewardesses.
anymore. They're
I
flight
knew
attendant.
that, but flight attendant. That's
Flight
why
attendant
I never
is
heard
okay,
the air
but
hostess.
I've heard air hostess before.
Did you? Never did.
It's
Go
not
ahead,
u-
Bob. I'm
it's-
sorry.
It's not
It's when
used
they
too
had
much anymore.
biplanes.
But anyway, Bob, go ahead.
Okay. This flight attendant,
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
makes a terribly racist statement on on the media.
Okay.
Does this impact on that individual's ability to seat passengers on the plane, to serve drinks, to do that kind of work? If it doesn't, then I would imagine that part of why the airline may have said, okay, this flight attendant can no longer work with us, is because they may be afraid that the people who find the statement to be offensive will hold that against the airline
And
with
fly
regard
elsewhere.
to purchasing tickets and things like that. Now,
That's right.
is that a penalty for having free speech that is appropriate to the protection of free speech? I would think that it's not. I think that the free speech should prevail in that situation. The flight attendant should be allowed to say whatever they want to. They're not saying here on behalf of Good Wings Airline, I'm making this as a public pronouncement. They're merely saying I'm making a public pronouncement on my own. I'm
Okay.
not even associating Good Wings Airline with
Yeah.
it, and therefore,
The problem is people
Well-
find out that she worked for Goodwing Airline, then they contact the airline
Well,
and
see,
put pressure on
right.
to get rid of them, and they don't want the bad press. They want the
Good
bad,
Wing Airline. Okay, you're right. She didn't mention it, but they have the right to their free speech. You're fired.
Yeah,
I don't think they should.
I've worked for companies where they give you the employee handbook, and there's a section now on social media.
Yeah, I'm sure
And
there is.
if you post stuff that's going to make the company look bad, you're gone.
Yeah,
I think
that's a reality.
I think that's a violation of someone's rights of free speech. I
Well,
really
you
do.
signed the handbook and
Yeah.
you agreed to abide by it. I had to do this with Major League Baseball. They're very they were like, please watch what you post on social media. Can't make any baseball teams look bad. Can't make Major League Baseball look bad, or we're just going to let you go. And that was the ruling.
And sadly, those things had to be done because of people doing just that.
Yeah.
That was the harsh reality is, people are posting things, on, about a health hazards or whatever from restaurants.
Let's go back 50 years. Social media isn't involved, but the newspaper is. I write a letter to the Woonsocket Call, a letter to the editor, and I say something that is terribly inflammatory about a particular issue. And the editor publishes it because they think that it's one side of a story. Should I be fired because I wrote a letter to the editor and said something that was not necessarily in the mainstream of thinking? I don't think so.
You could have been, because there were
Yep.
probably no guidelines in place at the time, but
Right.
you might have got a good talking to.
Now, on
That's
that
possible.
note, though, it's happened. Okay, on that note, we've had people send in letters to the editor that we published, we printed, that had no bearing on us, and there was never a statement made
Right.
by us. Like the editor didn't comment, it was just a letter to the editor. And a local business
Got upset
chose to no longer advertise with us at
okay.
that time.
because by a letter to the
Because
editor. Okay.
that letter to the editor, and this is going back, had to be 20 years maybe, and because we didn't, either we printed it and or didn't dispute it, but we obviously didn't agree or dispute, so we're not allowed to do that. But yeah, that person chose to no longer advertise with us
All right.
because of that.
All right, we got
So
to take
there are repercussions.
Well, yep. Okay, we got to take a break here in the Coffee and program. We're going to move on to other stuff after this. But Sue, time for a second message from the Blackstone Valley Call-in Times.
Okay, so hopefully Christina will be back in the office starting in October. She has gone through all of her medical things that needed to be taken care of, and just is now on the up and up. And hopefully our office will be opened again, like 8 to 4 or whatever the time was or will be, at 154 Main Street. In the meantime, if you need anything from circulation, you can call 762-3000. Wait for the prompts. They have been changed. If there's anything I can help you with, call my cell at 401-487-4136.
All right, time for the forecast. Thanks, Sue. Forecast being brought to you by Positive Coaching Alliance.
Gradual clearing with a high of 79 degrees and a breeze from the north. Tonight, it'll be 58 degrees for an overnight low temperature and mostly clear skies, calm winds. Friday's weather, sunshine and 79. Saturday, sunshine and 70. Sunday, mostly sunny and 70 again. Monday, sunshine and 75. Tuesday, sunshine and 83. And next Wednesday, partly sunny skies with a high near 78 degrees.
Outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street under mostly cloudy skies, we are at 63 degrees. Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Info at positivecoach.org.
Dean Bank knows the most common reason young people have their account closed is not understanding how overdrafts work. Basic financial literacy is no longer taught in school before they open their first account. If you or someone you know has a child 14 to 17 years old and are thinking about their first checking account, Dean Bank offers to sit with them and their parent to explain how an account works, how to avoid fees, and get started on the right track. Call this number, 508-803-7809 for complete details and to arrange a meeting. Dean Bank, member FDIC, member DIF. Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love. We're local and live at 99.5.
All right, it's Coffee Ann here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Sue Tester McKenzie and Bob Lauder. And Bob, it's time for a first message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Bob Lauder. While most of us are aware of the obligations of parents to care for their children, with the passage of time, some of those children advance into their senior years, and sometimes they can become victims of abuse and neglect. Section 4266(8) of the General Laws of the State of Rhode Island requires any individual within the state who has reasonable cause to believe that a person 60 years of age or older has been abused, neglected, or exploited to make an immediate referral to the Director of the Office of Healthy Aging, and that office will make a review of the allegation and may notify the police if enforcement is appropriate. The issue then becomes, what is abuse, neglect, or exploitation? In February of 2023, the Supreme Court of the State of Rhode Island issued a decision which spoke to the issue. In that case, the defendant left his home and moved in to take care of his mother. On multiple occasions, mother was found wandering on the streets, inappropriately dressed and disoriented. When police went to the house of mother, they found her wearing wet and dirty clothing, and the only food discovered in the house were a couple of packages of frozen corn and some dog food. After being contacted by the police, the son said that wandering the streets is not a crime. Further investigation revealed the lack of food in his mother's apartment and that she'd been sleeping on the floor. The mother was transported to the hospital and thereafter to a nursing home. The son was charged with neglect of an adult with severe impairments. He was convicted at trial and took an appeal to the Rhode Island State Supreme Court. He argued that the law was so vague and ambiguous that he could not be convicted of neglect because there was no specific wording as what neglect was. In reviewing the case, the Supreme Court wrote, neglect means the failure to care for or attend properly and the willful refusal to provide services necessary to maintain the physical or mental health of an individual with severe impairments. In this case, where the son had admitted that he'd been notified of his mother's need for services and the services were available for her, the court determined that the facts established that the son had never provided the services to support and protect his mother. If you think my office may be assistance to you in this or other legal matters, please call me for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob. Well, Rhode Island man has been sentenced. He's part of a connection with a $35 million money laundering scheme. All right.
Whoa.
Yeah. The United States Attorney's Office in Massachusetts sentenced 75-year-old Craig Clayton for laundering proceeds from internet fraud schemes by creating shell companies and opening fraudulent business bank accounts. He pleaded guilty to money laundering and obstruction of justice charges back in May. It doesn't say how much time he got. He is serving time in federal prison, and he's been ordered to pay $40,000 in restitution. Always sounds like a good idea till you get caught.
$35
million money laundering.
He has friends with money.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
okay.
So, alrighty. So next summer, Rhode Island's gearing up. They're calling it the 2026 Summer of Soccer. Next year, they want to get in. Yep. Well, the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, is coming to Foxborough, which is right up the road from Pawtucket.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a big deal. It's a real big deal. So they're thinking they can get some recreational, some cultural, some other arts programs going on at the soccer stadium down in Pawtucket, like extra games and things like that. So very smart. Rhode Island officials are preparing to welcome more than 400,000 visitors next summer due to the fact, people always think, well, they're from outside New England, they think Foxborough, well, it's Massachusetts, they automatically think Boston, when actually Providence is much closer in terms of like hotel rooms and things like that. So they're looking at a lot of people coming.
This
worldwide.
is the World Cup?
This is the World Cup that's coming. Yeah.
Has it ever been in the U.S. before?
Well, I don't think it's the final World Cup games. It's like a preliminary thing to ramp up.
Right.
I'm not sure where the actual World Cup is being held. So so the big celebration, the cultural events will take place between June 13th and July 9th of next year, which is when the duration of the World Cup games are being played in Foxborough.
Now, I will stagger you with actually knowing about the World Cup.
What sport is it?
And this skews way away from the realities.
All right.
1966, World Cup is being held somewhere in Europe.
Okay.
Great Britain issues special stamps to say, hey, the World Cup is coming. Unexpectedly, Britain wins the World Cup.
Okay.
They issue another set of stamps that says England wins because they were so surprised that it happened. So I actually know about World Cup in a weird way.
Do you have
I was just going to say, but he's a stamp collector, so otherwise he wouldn't know.
That's right. Well, okay. So speaking of the soccer stadium in Pawtucket, this was announced yesterday that the URI football team, not this year, but next year in 2026, are going to have their home games at the soccer stadium.
Nice.
Because you've been to URI, you went to URI. Well, Meade Stadium, is going to undergo a $42 million rehab.
Wow.
So they'll be building and doing construction, and so you won't be able to play a game at the stadium. So we got to play someplace else. And someone was thinking, I think, over at Rhode Island FC, hey, come play up here. And this is great for all us people up here in northern Rhode Island who says, oh, do you want to go to a football game down in South Kingstown? Are you kidding?
Right.
You know how far that is?
Yeah. You pass 4 Dunkin' Donuts
and you're there,
Dunkin'
right?
Donuts on Park Ave. What are you talking about?
So yeah, hopefully it'll spark an interest and people will go see the URI football games in Pawtucket. Next year.
$42 million to repair the stadium, or are they building a stadium?
No, to refurbish is the word they actually used.
Okay.
So let's clean it up. Let's make sure it doesn't fall down, that kind of thing. So they're just doing a refurbish to this.
When I went to URI, we didn't have we had Meade Field with the bleachers around it.
It's Meade Stadium now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's probably in the same place. They're just.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
They're going to do some nice stuff to it. So. And so the football games will be played here in Pawtucket, which is
fantastic.
Is pretty cool for them. All right. Well, Bally's has making a business decision. They want to sell Twin River Lincoln to somebody else, and then lease it back from whoever buys it, and run it and still run it.
Yeah, I guess that's what they did to the other one.
Is it in Tiverton?
Tiverton.
They did do that?
Yeah, I think that's what it said. That's what I heard on the news.
Okay. Maybe you want to get in on this, Bob. The proposed $735 million sale.
All right.
Not including other expenses and taxes, is with the Gaming and Leisure Properties Incorporated. So there's companies that actually just this is what they do.
All right.
Okay. Bally said the cash flow will help it financially. The proposed leaseback deal will need approval from the Rhode Island Lottery Commission, which I'm sure they'll, as long as they get their cut, I'm sure they'll just be fine with it. So no word on when this is going to take place. But yeah.
I think the key words you had in there were the fact that they needed the cash inflow. Bally's must feel, all right, we need to have a lot of money come into us right now, and the amount that we'd be paying for the lease over the next X number of years is not going to be probably a whole lot more than we're paying to to pay the taxes and insurance and all the stuff that goes on with it now. But we want to get some cash that we can do something else with in our overall portfolio of investments. Yeah.
Or if they, we look at it, okay, we pay this amount of money in taxes and infrastructure and all that stuff. But if we sell it to somebody and we lease it back, that number is going to be much lower than what we're paying right now.
No,
so
it's not.
let's just do that.
No, it's not going to be.
It won't be?
I wouldn't think so.
Then why do it?
If I I have a piece of property that's worth $100.
Yeah.
I right now am paying taxes and insurance and stuff like that on it, and it costs me $5 to do that.
Uh-huh.
I sell the property to somebody else who gives me the $100. Now I have the $100 in my pocket with taxes and stuff.
Right.
And they lease it back to me. Now, instead of leasing it back to me at $5 for a time, they lease it back to me for $8 or $10. I'm paying a little bit more in the immediacy to operate from that same location, but I still have the remainder of the $100 over in my pocket. And with that $100, I can then go out and buy another location. I can buy something. So it makes sense that way.
Okay.
What did you say? I got lost for a second because you said, why do it if it's not going to be cheaper?
You're right.
Because, well, wouldn't it be you're no longer owning the property?
Right.
You're just leasing it, so you wouldn't have to pay your taxes. Certain things you don't have to pay.
But that will be included in the lease.
Yeah, you got to pay the lease, though.
The buyer isn't going to take it as a loss.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, so that's where I got confused with you, Joe, when you said, why do it if they're not going to make money?
Yeah.
You're right. Nobody's going to do it if there's not going to be. Somebody's going to be making money here.
Well, yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it's Bally's either.
Okay. All
They
right.
need the money, like Bob said. I get that part.
Okay. Let's see.
Wait. We're the two
You
of us
agree?
are smarter than Joe is.
I like there's not much on that.
But then again, whoever is buying the property, they also have to look at it as a long-term investment, not like they're just going to make money today. It's going to be over time as well.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you're looking for a job,
Yes.
The chairman of the State Fisheries and Wildlife Board in Massachusetts has resigned. In his resignation letter to Governor Maura Healey, Stephen Sears indicated that the state is not committing enough resources to achieve its biodiversity goals. Sears also says internal disputes at the agency also impacted his decision. He says the disputes that have taken place with agency staff cannot be resolved.
Now,
Real
I can make
issues with the Fisheries and Wildlife Board.
a real rude comment. The present administration in
Bob's
Washington
making a
is
rude
taking umbrage at biodiversity in various educational schemes. What is biodiversity in fish and wildlife?
It's got to do with the bio means life, so it's got to do with the fish and the birds.
Okay,
I don't know what I don't know where the diversity part comes in.
I don't have any idea
wanna
what
make sure
that
they
means
all-
at all.
They all get along. Make sure all the birds and the fishes get along with each other. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, so it's time to take another break here, and Bob's got another message from his law office. So go right ahead there, Bob.
Let's hope Bob can read this one better. Good morning. This is Bob Lauder. The second case I'd like to discuss you this morning answers the question, can evidence of a defendant's prior unlawful acts be introduced in a trial relating to a separate incident? And the case is known as State versus Hang and was decided in July of this year. In the Hang case, an individual, David Page, was found shot and dead in his Cadillac in front of a house on Lowell Street in Providence. Surveillance cameras in the area not only showed the Cadillac driving up to the house, but also showed a black-colored vehicle cruising the area and turning into Lowell Street just seconds after Page's Cadillac turned into the street. There, the investigation went dry, until the street smarts of the police were able to bring together some disjointed pieces of evidence. About a week later, the police exercised a search warrant at another address, and this was in a financial fraud and narcotics investigation. At that address, an ignition key to an Audi motor vehicle was located, and the individual possessing the key was charged with the drug-related offenses. During interrogation, the girlfriend of the individual charged with the drug-related offenses told the police of the location of the Audi, which had been stolen, and the Audi was returned to its owner. A subsequent review of the surveillance tapes of Lowell Street led the investigators to believe that the Audi was the car involved in the shooting. And thereafter, detectives, with the consent of the individual with the narcotics charge and his attorney, examined his cell phone and found evidence sufficient to implicate Mr. Hang and bring the facts before a grand jury. An indictment for murder and related charges was issued against Mr. Hang, as well as another individual known as Mr. Hay, and they were charged together in a single trial. During the trial, the judge admitted evidence regarding 7 violent crimes or criminal acts that took place in Providence in the 2 years preceding the incident at trial. Now, not all of these acts involved Mr. Hang, but all of them involved the other defendant. The individual who had been charged with the narcotics offenses testified that in May of 2017, the defendant, Mr. Hang, had fired a couple of shots at a car following one of them in which they were riding, and that in the same month, the other defendant had also fired shots at another car. Both the defendant and the co-defendants were found guilty. The defendant appealed his conviction to the Supreme Court. Among other issues, the defendant argued that the trial justice erred when permitting the evidence of the 7 prior criminal events, because none of them involved the charge of murder of Mr. Page, and most of them did not involve Mr. Hang. The Rhode Island Supreme Court disagreed. The court wrote that evidence of other crimes or wrongs is admissible when it is interwoven or in instances where introduction is necessary for a trier of fact to hear the complete and, it is hoped for, coherent story and make an accurate determination of guilt or innocence. The court also wrote that the line between evidence presented to demonstrate propensity and evidence presented for an admissible purpose is a fine line to withdraw, and even more difficult for one of the judges and juries to follow. A trial justice's discretion to exclude evidence to demonstrate propensity must be used sparingly. It is only when the evidence is marginally relevant and enormously prejudicial to a trial that it must be excluded. The moral? One's past criminal transgressions may be introduced at a trial to prove the defendant has a propensity to commit the crime for which he is on trial. If you think my office may be assistance to you in legal matters, please call me for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thanks. And the Coffee and program will continue. Stay tuned.
First news, best music. This is ON Radio.
I live in a house surrounded by trees, and I love those leaves until they're clogging our gutters. I do not ever want to think about my gutters, and that's why we are big fans of Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection company. Enjoy the beauty of this season, knowing your gutters are clean and avoiding all kinds of costly damage. Every Leaf Filter installation comes with a lifetime no clogs guarantee. They use award-winning patented technology. It keeps everything out of your gutters but the water. So why not call today, schedule your free gutter inspection, get a no obligation free estimate, and then enjoy the beauty of the leaves without worrying about having to get up on a ladder and clean them out. Don't spend the season worrying about gutters. Schedule your free inspection and get up to 30% off your entire purchase at leaffilter.com/Bob and Sherry. That's LEAFfilter.com/Bob and Sherry. A free estimate, a free inspection, and 30% off at LEAFfilter.com/Bob and Sherry.
See representative for warranty details.
WOON, Woonsocket Radio, ON, AM, and FM.
It's Coffee In on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Sue Tesser McKenzie and Bob Lauder. And Bob's got a question about Autumn Fest.
It's only about 3 weeks away from Autumn Fest.
It's coming quick.
I was wondering what the word was, what's going to be happening.
What's the buzz?
Who the entertainers, things like that?
I know the headlining act on Saturday night is a band called Whiskey Smiles. I think that I'll have to look that up again. They are a Morgan Wallen tribute band. Morgan Wallen is very big on the country scene. right now. I think Morgan had 2 sold-out shows at Gillette Stadium. So if you're a country fan, you know who he is.
I like the name Whiskey Smiles. That's great.
It must be the name of a song they have or something like that.
Oh, right.
Sunday night, the tribute band that night is Nirvana. I think that's their name.
Instead of Nirvana.
They are a Nirvana tribute band for Sunday night fireworks when they're done. And something they haven't done, I don't think they've ever done this, on the Friday of Autumn Fest, the rides will be open again, and Food Row, most of it will be open, depending on who the vendors are. And they're going to have a band on the main stage on Friday night playing music, and it's Steve Smith and the Nakeds. They're going to play starting at 7 on Friday night. So that's the first time they've done this.
Sounds great.
Yeah. The Autumn Fest people will be in here at the beginning on October 6th. I'm going to ask them, okay, now that you've put a band on Friday night, you're going to have to do it every year. So Autumn Fest is basically expanding Friday night, Saturday, all day Sunday, Monday until 6. So you've added basically another half a day to Autumn Fest. Now people are going to expect this from now on. So that's pretty cool that they have a band on Friday night.
Yes.
Yeah. Today is National Cheeseburger Day.
Whoa!
Woohoo, all right. Plenty of deals out there. And this is the problem with plenty of the deals out there. You just can't walk into McDonald's and say, give me the deal that you're having because it's National Cheeseburger Day. They won't know what you're talking about, basically. You know what you got to do? Sue, you know what you got to do, right?
No.
You got to go to their app.
So I don't do the McDonald's app. Well, that's the only reason I said no. I don't.
Well, that's it. And they want you can get it. It's a pretty decent deal. You can get a 50-cent double cheeseburger.
Not only that, but you
through
can
their app.
Through the app. With many places now, you're building points, and then you're getting free fries, you're getting a free soda, you're getting whatever.
Yep.
What about us who don't have apps?
You're just on us.
We get hungry.
We don't care about you.
Go for the. If you're at Wendy's, it's a biggie bag.
Yeah.
And if you're at McDonald's, it's a.
I think they're looking at it, Bob.
Double.
Let's say 90% of the population on their cell phones.
Yep.
They know how to download the apps. We're going after those people. You other 10%, we don't care about you because you're only 10%. We're focusing on the 90 we're going after. Sorry. And it's a pain. It's a pain because I don't eat at McDonald's enough to get their app. So I don't do it. So I won't be partaking today. There are no White Castles around here, but they're giving a deal. You get a free burger on their app. Yeah. Shake Shack is doing the same thing. By the way, cheeseburgers are the nation's 6th most popular meal, according to a recent poll. All right?
What would be the first most popular?
Pizza.
Oh, I agree. Pizza, tacos might be up there. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so if you're going to be flying at any time, I don't want to influence what airlines you go on, but just letting you know, there was a close call in the skies on Tuesday morning involving Spirit airline jet and Air Force One.
Wow.
An air traffic controller in New York didn't like how close the Boston-bound Spirit flight, they were going from, it doesn't say what, well, either JFK or LaGuardia, to Boston. The Boston-bound Spirit flight was flying the plane that was carrying President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump. They were going over to the UK. You're too close to Air Force One. The air traffic controller, because they tape everything, the air traffic controller warned the Spirit pilot, quote, pay attention, Spirit 1300, the name of the flight, turn 20 degrees to the right. Spirit 1300, turn 20 degrees right now. You could hear the air traffic controller complaining about having to relay instructions twice, repeatedly admonishing the pilot to pay attention. And at one point he said, pay attention, get off your iPad. Now that's scary.
Whoa.
When you're flying the plane and you're playing solitaire or whatever, or Minecraft on your iPad. An investigation is underway. NBC News is reporting that a preliminary probe shows the two planes did stay far enough apart, and they didn't. There was no real issues.
How much is far enough apart?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the FAA.
I would think that Air Force One had pretty much complete control of everything.
You would think so.
Priority, and
if
everybody else get out of their way.
Because you got to watch out. If you're getting too much closer, we're gonna scramble the jets to come after you, and we'll shoot Spirit out of the sky if you don't get out of the way. You're too close. How much is 20 degrees to the right? How many feet are we looking at? I don't know. One more story before you got to go. And usually women do this, but this time a 27-year-old, 27, that's important, Columbus, Ohio man, he's in custody In upstate New York, he reportedly used a fake ID and he tried to enroll in a local high school. And yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. Police say the man gave false information to administrators, but he was ultimately denied access to the building. Franklin County in New York, records show the same individual pleaded guilty to impersonating a police officer in 2021 after tackling a man outside a fast food restaurant, claiming to be with the Columbus Division of Police. And earlier this year, a 24-year-old successfully enrolled in Ohio's Perrysburg High School and attended classes before he was discovered. It's a no-no. It's a real crime. You can't be doing that.
No, right.
And you always ask, well, why would you want to go back?
The why part
I don't.
is
Just why do you want to do this? Yeah.
Can be disturbing. I won't say it.
All right, that'll wrap it up for the show for today. We thank you very much for listening in. Thanks for your input, Bob, on the law stuff that we threw your way. So there
Thanks
you go.
for warning me ahead of time, and thanks for Sue for making sure that everything was right.
Very good. Sue, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you. You have a great day. Have a great rest of the week.
All right, this is Joe Callahan. We'll talk again at 2. Stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do you remember coming up after the 9 o'clock news?
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. President Trump is